and figura, meaning form or shape. The word means a change of form or appearance. This is what happened to Jesus in the event known as the Transfiguration. His appearance changed and he became glorious. Luke states that Jesus took Peter, James and John on the mountain to pray. This mountain is often thought to be Mount Tabor in Israel, but none of the Gospels identify it precisely. At the top of the mountain, Jesus became transfigured. Matthew's Gospel, chapter 17, verse 2 says, "There he was, transfigured before them. His face shone like the sun, and his clothes became as white as the light." Suddenly, Moses and Elijah appeared on the mountain. Moses and Elijah represent the Old Testament and the prophets. Moses led God's people, the Israelites, out of slavery in Egypt. He then met with God on Mount Sinai and received the 10 Commandments. Moses' face was radiant after such close contact with God. Elijah was a prophet, one of God's messengers. He also went to Mount Sinai, where God revealed himself in a gentle whisper. Moses and Elijah appear and stand before Jesus. This symbolizes that Jesus is their successor. He is now bringing a covenant from God for all people. Matthew chapter 17, verses 4 to 6 says, "Peter said to Jesus, 'Lord, it is good for us to be here. If you wish, I will put up 3 shelters, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah.' While he was still speaking, a bright cloud covered them, and a voice from the cloud said, 'This is my Son, whom I love. With him I am well pleased. Listen to him.' The disciples, hearing the voice, fell on their knees in fear. But Jesus came and touched them. 'Get up,' he said. 'Don't be afraid.' When they looked up, they saw no one except Jesus. As they were coming down from the mountain, Jesus charged them not to relate what they had seen to anyone, except when the Son of Man had risen from the dead. So they kept the matter to themselves, questioning what rising from the dead meant. Though the disciples do not understand the meaning, the Transfiguration presents a promise of what is to come. There is hope, because he will soon triumph over sin and death, and be raised in the fullness of glory, the glory of which they have just been given a tiny glimpse. The Transfiguration was a special event in which God allowed some of the disciples a spiritual experience that was meant to strengthen their faith for the challenges they would later endure. But it was only ever a temporary event. It was not meant to be permanent. In the same way that at certain times in this life, God may give certain members of the faithful, not all of the faithful all of the time, special experiences of His grace that strengthen their faith. God of light, as you surrounded Jesus with your glory, so you come to us in blinding brightness. You catch us off guard and expose our weaknesses. We choose the limelight while you call us to explore the shadows and brighten the darkness. We seek to stay on the mountain or in the comfortable pew while you walk into the valleys of need. Fill us with light and courage to carry the good news into all the corners of the world and to bring back the joy of your presence. Lord, continue to be with us. Amen.